Hello again and welcome back to the Excel VBA series. Now in this one, what we're going to have a look at is our combo box, but this time what we want to do is we want to have multiple entries in that drop down. So beforehand we just had a yes or no for whether they're a member or not. In this one we want to have a multiple drop down, but what we also want to do is we want to have that drop down being dynamic. So it's going to refer to a range of data on an Excel spreadsheet, just like we do with lists for data validation drop-downs. But what we're going to do is we're going to refer this combo box, we're going to fill this with the items that are currently in that list whenever this form initializes. So if you remember the code before, for the last one, what we did was when we initialized, what we did was we said, first of all, clear that box, and then add an item yes, add an item no. So easy enough when you've got one or two, but when you've got a load of items to add, it becomes more difficult. So what we're going to do is we're going to add the titles, and I've created a table here. So you'll notice that it's an actual table called TBL titles, and the field header is titles as well. Now, I've put an S at the end and an S at the end, and my list page also has an S on the end, and I'll show you why when we actually come to write the code. It just makes it easier if everything has an S on the end. Well, nearly everything, because the very last thing you put in doesn't have an S on the end, and you do need to remember that. So this is as frustrating as it gets when it comes to doing the syntax. If you do get stuck on this or anything you're working at, pop me an email and I'll talk you through how to do it. So first thing we want to do here is open up our form again, and on this form you'll notice that it's input 1, which is that new combo box I've added. And what this does also mean is that these other combo boxes I've had to rename as I go down, well, not just the combo boxes but the text boxes as well. And so that one there, that's the email, which used to be input 2, is now input 3. What that does also mean is back in our code here for input 2 we need to refer to it as input 3, otherwise it's going to check for email format in the wrong box. This one down here for our loop, we need to run that 5 times now, and as I scroll down here, this very last drop down, which is actually now input 5. Now a quick way of doing this, if you have a block of code, is Control F, and I'm going to do, I want a 4 to be replaced with a 5. I just say replace all, it's done 3 replacements, and I click OK. That's a quick way of making multiple changes within a section of code when you've just made an edit. Now, in here, what I'm going to do is just put another clear. So me.input, and this is input 1, dot clear. Now, I don't actually have to do that, and the reason I've done it is just because it's slightly cleaner. The reason I don't have to do it is because when the form initializes, it initializes from empty anyway. If I had that as activate, in other words, every time I go back in to the form from another spreadsheet or from another VBA control, every time I activate, it would have run this code, in which case I definitely do need the clear. As it is, I've got it set to initialize, which means when it initially opens, well, actually when it initially opens, it's clear already. But it's just good practice to get used to putting in that clear line there. Now what I want to do is I want to actually fill the combo box again. So same as before, me input box 1, but this time rather than saying add item like we did before, what I want to do is I want to add a list of things which become multiple items all put in one go. So that list equals, and I'm going to tell it that it's on a worksheet. Now here you'll see why I put S's at the end of everything, because I don't just say worksheet, I call it worksheets, and then I define the name of it. So the name of the sheet is lists, and on that lists worksheet it's a list object, and again with an S at the end, and the list object is called TBL titles, again with an S on the end, and within that table I want the column which is called titles. So this is a list columns, again with an S on the end. Titles. And I want the data body range. And what I want from that, so that the data body range is this area here, not including the header. So if it was the whole of the list column, that includes the header at the top, and the data body range is just the data itself within there. And I don't want the references of that data, I actually want their value. And this is the one that doesn't have an S on the end. So it's just a value that I want. And you'll notice up here, wherever I've used value, it doesn't have the S on the end. But all these others do. So titles, columns, titles, objects, lists, and worksheets. So whichever you find easier to do. Some people say all the things that I've named doesn't have an S on the end, and here I know that the sheets, the objects, and the columns all do. Whichever way you choose to do it, just stick to one method. Now what should happen when I run this form is I get my drop-down menu here for my various different elements. Down at the bottom I have simple yes or no. What I'm going to do now is go back into the worksheet and simply type a couple of extra fields on the bottom there. We'll go straight back into the form, and immediately you'll notice it's populated with the new elements in that drop-down list. Okay, that's all I want to cover here. I hope it's been useful, and don't forget, if you do have any problems or you get stuck, or you have any questions or suggestions for other videos you want me to do just pop a question down below and I'll be happy to help. And once more, thank you for listening.